lesson from the day in the past. It's gonna be a blast. Johnny and Harmon are the main event podcast.
What's going on, Harmon? You are sitting right across from me.
Live and in living color.
I can't believe it. This is great. I love it. This is a rare instance that we are in the flesh here. Usually we're looking over.
I know. I'm usually looking at your picture.
Yeah. Well, now you're looking at me in real life.
Yeah, wish it was the picture.
Ouch, you son of a bitch.
No, it's good to be back in the old original studio here. You know?
Yeah.
Well, not the original. The original one was a basement.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So, but yeah, we're here together. This is great. Thank you for making the trip. I know it's not an easy task. It's like a 2-hour drive or something.
It's not too bad now because I live near the highway.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
the roads are so bad right now. It's just destroying my car one piece at a time.
Jeez. And you're used to making trips now. You just took a trip down to
just took a trip down to Providence for What Wrestling.
Unbelievable. Good show.
It was a good show. Yeah.
It looked like a good show.
I can't see from where I am a lot of the stuff, but what I did see was pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I did see, Matt Tremont try to smash Jimmy Jacobs' face off Teddy Hart's cat.
Oh,
we had to save the cat.
Nice.
And Tremont's face, like his face was just like, I almost killed that cat.
Oh, yeah. So that's awesome, man. Sounds like a wild show. I wish I could have made it. It looked insane. I gotta get down to more shows, man. That's on me. Anyway, we got a fun one tonight. I've been kind of excited about this game. I've talked about it a little bit. I've been posting about it on the Twitter. I've been telling you all about it. It's called Champions of Time. They get a Kickstarter going out that just started, and it's from a company called Go.Fight.Pow. And we have Eric, and I might butcher the last name here, but Konecne from Go.Fight.Pow on.
Yes, you said that right. It's good to be on here. One of the goals that I had was to hopefully get on some podcasts and discuss this game because I love it so much. I love talking about it, and I think everybody should have it. And when we decided that it would work out that way, I was just so stoked.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, we're excited to have you. Like I said, man, I've been pumped about the game. I've been, kind of dabbling with it, and it's really fun. Like Harmon and I played a couple rounds before we kicked off the show tonight, and it's a blast, man. It's fun. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Go.Fight.Pow in general, just the overall scheme of it.
Okay, so actually the Kickstarter that is running now, I just was told by Facebook this last week that we originally started our Go.Fight.Pow and the Intergalactic Fight Club 3 years ago. We were doing a Kickstarter for that one, and I didn't realize it was time at the same time. I thought that one 3 years ago was like April or so, but it's actually running concurrently from like 3 years ago right now. What had happened was I was playing, and I still do play. It's a wrestling game for 15 years. It's called Phil Singer Games, and a lot of the people that were my age played it, and they were teaching their kids to play it. Well, my oldest now is 10, my daughter, and she was 7 at that time, and I was trying to teach her, and she wasn't getting it, really. There was a lot of mechanics to it, and just some stuff that 7-year-olds wouldn't really understand, and she's just like, Dad, can we just create our own game? I'm like, okay, I don't see why not, so then I just kind of came up with the idea of what she was wanting to try to do that she couldn't in that game with this game.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of just came up with what we have now. We just kind of picked and choose a few mechanics from their game. We came up with our own and just kind of melded together. I sent it out to some of my friends to play test and stuff, and they really enjoyed it. And it was quick and easy for, kids to learn and everything. So we just kind of did it. We wanted to just raise enough money for, to have our own card game to play. And then other people jumped in on it and made it a success. And it's just kind of grown a little bit from there. And One of her dream things was there's a real federation called Shimmer, and you guys probably aware of, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they had an edition in Filsinger Games called Shimmer, and that's what she wanted really bad. I'm like, well, if you can understand this game, I'll get you the Shimmer girls to play with or whatnot. Well, that didn't happen. This happened. So now that this happened, I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna do this, then I will eventually get you an all girl fight league. So
Which
we
is
did a
awesome,
second
by the way.
Kickstarter. We did
Yeah.
we did a second Kickstarter for that, and it's called Glitter, which originally came about with, we were going to call it Sparkle. Well, and we wanted to have she loved Thunder Kitty from seeing Chikara stuff when she was there for King of Trios. And we reached out to her and asked her if she would want to try to be in the game and help promote it. And well, I think Gabe Sapolsky or whoever runs Shimmer, Glitter is also like their little house show name of stuff, or Sparkle was, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And she wasn't going to be allowed to be in the set if we used that name. So at the last minute, we had to change it, and it got changed to Glitter, which was close. And so we're kind of bummed about that, but we kind of turned around and, uh, not really to be mean or whatever, but we kind of got our own Sparkle out of it because in the division is the Sparkle title. So we kind of got the Sparkle that she wanted out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, you
So
can definitely see like the similarities of it. I mean, I own that set. And it's pretty gnarly. One thing I love about just the game in general is just the characters. The characters are really cool. You can see certain like inspirations like in certain characters,
yep.
from life stuff, which is really fun. But yeah, and I love that it's like the game can either last like 30 seconds or like 5 minutes, depending on the roll of the dice. It's really fun. So how does the Kickstarter thing work? I've personally never done like a Kickstarter thing. I've never really been involved in the Kickstarter thing. So how does it work? Like, are you guys? I know that you guys have already gotten funded for this one. Like it was like 5 hours. Like, right? Is that?
Yeah, we started yesterday. And we funded it in 5 hours. As
Awesome.
of today,
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
don't know the percentage of what it is funded. Our original goal was 1,800, and we're almost to 2,600 right now.
Nice. Congrats, man.
For
That's
me,
great.
that's a success. That's huge for me. We had stretch goals up to $2,500. So the like 6 new fighters have been unleashed or unlocked, and the physical game booklet, which is basically going to describe the people and a little bit of the story and everything that goes on, that's been unlocked. So people will have an actual copy of that instead of a PDF. Kickstarter is a fundraising platform for anybody that doesn't know. Basically, we are going, what it is we have this idea that was given to me. I wasn't going to do this anymore. After our last one, I was like, okay, this is all right. It's quite a bit of work, a lot of legwork behind the scenes, but some guy came to me from a game that I backed, like, what's going to make us stand out? What do we need to do to try to get more people into this to grow our fan base? And he's like, 54 card set in a tuck box. And I'm like, why not? So
Yeah, sure. Right?
I decided, well, sure, okay. So because we've never had a actual tuck box or anything. We've just kind of had our little plastic packages and stuff. But so Kickstarter is a fundraising platform where basically you're pitching in money to help us raise the money that we need to get this, and in return you get these really cool rewards. So it's fairly simple. You go to kickstarter.com. You're going to create an account like you would anywhere else. There's a place on there. It only takes credit cards. It doesn't take PayPal or anything else. So you have to enter a credit card, and then you go and you search for Champions of Time by Go.Fight.Pow, and it should bring you up to a wrestling themed looking image. And basically you just go on there, you see what we've got listed as for our levels. There's something for everybody. You can get the game itself only. You can get the game and you can add on different things. Like we have a metal lunchbox type thing with a really cool cover. It's like a carrying case. There's create a character, which I might be ending by Friday because it's getting to be so huge.
Really? Oh boy, I gotta get mine.
It's we're we are up to like 36 characters if people do it right now,
Holy
and that's
cow.
huge. People really, we had that. I knew that people from the past have liked to do the creative characters, and they did. And this time around, we've gained our fan base quite a bit since then, and people really turned out for that and just wanted to create something. So that's shaping up to be really crazy with that. So basically, you go choose what you want. You can choose it. What you can do we have like our bunch of our add-ons, which is like a la carte. So you can choose your tier of what you want, and then if there's extras, it's listed on the page too how much everything is. So basically, I won't really know right now what everybody will get or what they want. Like our base set is $25 for the tuck box and the cards. If they choose that and then they want to add on like the rumble box, which is the metal box that I was talking about, they really wouldn't need to add on anything because there's a tier for that. But if they wanted like the create a character pack, that's not by itself. That's just a la carte. So they would have to just add on the money to what they already pledged. It's just
I'm on
it's about
Kickstarter
like
right now. Looks like you've got 22 backers, 29 days to go, and you've got $2,593 of your $1,800 goal. So,
yes,
good job.
Yeah, congrats. That's
I
incredible.
do know that there's a few friends and stuff of the game that have not gotten on there yet that are coming, so it's going to be even more. Our stretch goals got crushed yesterday, and I'm going to work on creating some new ones. Like people just love cards, so I'm going to have to make some like specialty matches or make up some more wrestlers. The crazy thing is I can't the stretch goals that are defeated now, I've got artwork being worked on for them. I mean, it happened so fast that the guy that's drawing my stuff hasn't even um, gotten a chance to finish them. And if as more that I add, I'm not even going to have images for them yet, so people will just have to believe what I'm doing
Right.
and get it. So
I was gonna ask, like, if like how close to completion you are with like the actual like everything for the Champions of Time thing. Like are all 48 characters like developed at least like in their concept? Like, do you have 48 characters, or are you still
yes,
like coming up with some? Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yep. I've got the what I started out with was because we've never done like the past two editions we've never done video reviewers, and that kind of adds legitimacy to your campaigns. So we kind of skated by with not having those, and somebody said, "Hey, you need to do this. This will help you out more if you get reviewers." So I found, and it's all big do it myself DIY, because I have no budget really other than anything that I make in the game goes back to the game, so I don't make anything. And so I don't really
definitely know how that feels.
so I don't have a budget. So it's like people that want, like the guy that made my video actually plays our game and stuff like that. And I reached out to him, and his name is Grant, and he's actually he's one of the puppeteers in the Mystery Science Theater 3000, and he works for Henson and stuff, and he does championship wrestling from Hollywood. He's like their in-ring interviewer and stuff like that.
Yeah, he seemed like
I've known him for quite a while, and he kind of did. And then I reached out to him and I'm like, "Would you be able to make like a pay-per-view Control Center style video for it?" And he did, and that was really cool of him. So that helped us out. And then I found some reviewers that and even like you guys and stuff that helped us out. That would just do it for a copy of the game or whatever, So initially I had to get something made up so people had something. So I did the first 16 or so characters, and then a couple of what they call the flavor cards I found out recently through all this with things. So that way people had something to see and play with it.
Yeah.
And
now, how did you get the cards like the Nikita Koloff and the Rock and Roll Express? How did you get to do those?
Basically, I grew up in the '80s. I'm an '80s NWA kid. Big fan of that more than I was WWE back in the day because we didn't have a lot of that on TV. So I grew up with them. Um, started out with Manny Fernandez actually. I reached. There's a wrestling Hall of Fame here in Iowa. It's the Dan Gable. It's Dan Gable is tied into it, which is everybody knows that he's like a big collegiate wrestler. It's and they have a pro wrestling wing of it. And a friend of mine and a friend of his, um, they are really into helping them. It's nonprofit, and they have a banquet and stuff every year. That's a big fundraiser. So I wanted to help them out because it's something I enjoy, and it's a treasure here in Iowa, which because we don't really have a whole lot of big things. So I just reached out to Manny, and I was trying to do it twofold. I wanted to get back to the Hall of Fame and hopefully uh, hope that the card would maybe gain some attention to us and get us some more people, which in the long run it didn't, but that's okay. It still raised some money. So, because what I did was um, my people bought the card, my fan base, and then any of that money went to all the proceeds went to the Hall of Fame, and then Manny, on his own end, as part of the deal of allowing us to use his name or whatever, we gave him some cards of same cards that we have, except his were blank, and then they can be autographed if he does whatever, if he goes to a show or whatnot.
Right.
And then Rock and Roll Express is similar. I had always been told that I'd never get them without any money. It would cost me money and whatever. Well, one time on the Ricky Morton's page on Twitter, I think it was, he was offering up a shirt or an elbow pads or something. I can't remember exactly what. And he was wanting to kind of auction it off and use the money for his school of Morton Wrestling School. And the green light went off, and I messaged his page, and I'm like, "This is who I am. This is what I do." I go, "If you allow us to, use your guys' name and likeness, and cards, I'd get them made. Proceeds would go directly to you to the school. I don't want anything from it." And I just wanted to help them out. So, and that's what we did again, just like we did with Manny. I sold them to my people, and the proceeds went to him. And then, of course, had cards made of him and Robert, and they went to those guys, and then they could do with what they want. And so far, again, that hasn't really worked either. So it's kind of like really crazy, but they're not very social media friendly, I guess. They're not. They're kind of old. He calls himself old school.
Right.
The funny thing is, like the very first thing he did when I approached him, he never said hi, anything back. He's like, "Here's my number. Call me tomorrow." He just gave me his number. No, nothing else. That was the very first thing. I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, this is cool." So I called him, and then the funny story about that is, it's like you can hear the traffic in the background and everything, and I'm like, "Hey, Ricky, this is Eric," and he goes, he said something else, and he goes, "What are you dealing with? You're booking or whatnot?" I'm like, "No, I contacted you about the card and I explained everything." "Oh yeah, sorry man, sorry about all the noise. I'm out here on the side of the highway taking a piss." Just like, that is so awesome. And so then we just talk. He goes, "Just give me a few minutes or whatnot." So I called him back like a half hour later and stuff. Oh. So yeah, so that, and then I talked to him a little bit later on about stuff, uh and that's kind of about the end of it because he's really doesn't associate much online with me or anything. So I just kind of left him with that after I sent him his cards. And then Nikita was kind of this same way. I just emailed his um or his website, and there's a guy that plays my game, and there's some wrestling up in Canada. I think it's CWE or something. He did a big tour up there through the summer with them, and I think it's Canadian Wrestling Elite or something. Anyhow, I I had already been in talks with Nikita, and or I had emailed and stuff, and he didn't really say anything. And I'm like, well, could you maybe talk to him and let him know, what I'm doing, and see if he's got it? Well, then he told me to resend the email because he gets tons of emails and doesn't, he think stuff spam to him, and people's always trying to reach out and get stuff. So then, basically, he gave me his number. So these people are like trusting me with their numbers. I was like, oh wow. So I called him and we spoke, and I told him everything. He's like, well, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, well, I usually give the money to something. Is I can give it to you. I don't care what we do with it. I don't want it. I go, I'm just trying to help people out, and it ended up
it's
being
an even trade, pretty much.
right. And so he got his cards as well with the blank, like everybody else did, and so again, I sold them like I do, and then the money goes to his daughter is big into missionary work, and there's a I can't remember the name of it, but it's in Haiti. It's like a Haiti missionary,
Yeah.
and that's where it goes to help them. And I told her, I go, we're small. I go, it's not going to be a huge amount. It might be, 70, $100 or so. She goes, that's amazing. She goes, it only takes, like you see it on TV. She says it takes only like, 50 cents a day to feed a child. She goes, that's true. She goes, we can feed them on whatever. She goes, that's a lot. Like, okay.
Well, that's a good
So
feeling,
that's
man.
how that came about. And we have all those cards still on our website. And like I said, all the proceeds go to the rightful place. We don't keep anything from it.
So if people just wanted to go to your website and just buy like that one card just to support,
Yep. I actually had that happen with Nikita. I just had that happen with Nikita. Somebody who I didn't know. I always like to find out who people are just curious about stuff. And then I got an order because usually I know who's kind of orders from me. We're small enough that way. But somebody did order one, and I was like, and then they mentioned something about it on Twitter. And I was like, and I sent them a couple sample cards of my own with some rules just to kind of get them to maybe, hey, they're interested in the game. So maybe maybe they'll come back or not. But
yeah, no, that's cool.
So,
that's great. I mean,
but yeah, that's the time I have had somebody just do it because they were a Nikita Koloff fan or collector.
Right.
And
right.
They did that. So
it's cool to get those guys in there though, because I mean it's kind of an even trade. Like they're kind of getting whatever they want out of it, go to like whatever cause they want. But then
I would just feel bad just being like, hey, can I use you in my game? And well, I'm not going to get you anything, but I'll reap from your profits.
Right, of course, yeah. And then like in turn, you get like a notable name like in your game, which is pretty cool. So
and then the people seem to like that. So
yeah, of course, yeah. So you have a pretty great like community following, like on the forums. I've noticed, like I've been in there a little bit, kind of bombing around. How integral is that to like what you're doing? Like, are people constantly like throwing ideas out at you? Not so much like the create a character stuff, but like just like rules of the games or like different variations. Like, oh, you could do this with a game. Like, you could make a Royal Rumble, or you could do like this or something.
Actually, it is. It's very integral, and I try to push people to go there because it's more than just a wrestling game or fighting game, whatever. It's a whole new animal than you're used to, and if there's no other game that you can really just go to the store and buy that's like this. And the whole aspect of this game is you just you don't have to just sit. You can play it any way you want. You don't have to just sit down and roll the matches and that's it. You can sit down and create the matches. Use your imagination and say, okay, this happens. There's a feud now because somebody might have got power from the fast forward. They might have got knocked out right at the beginning. Well, they're mad about that. They didn't get their chance. They want a rematch. You can set up feuds. You can special matches. You can create your own federation out of this. You can line up your cards, play them, then you go to the next card the next night or whatever. It's a living, breathing animal for things, and that message board is the lifeblood of that because people share their results. I saw
that too. I was like, wow, this is like
people invest in that. they'll go to a certain person's thing and they'll watch it and they'll be they'll comment and they'll be like, okay, then they'll wait for the next card to be posted, and it's just a whole community of this, and it's just an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And I try to push people, newer people, to come there and see that and just be like, this is more than just, okay, you've got this pack of cards. What am I going to do with them? This is what you can do with them. You go to Go.Fight.Pow.freeforums.net. You can sign up and you can see everything that we do there. You don't have to comment. You don't have to do anything. You can just watch. You can look. There's a lot of people that don't post, but they go there and just follow and see things. There's people post their wild ideas for specialty matches or their own ideas for wrestlers. The duos that we came up with was actually created by one of our backers from the last event that we had. I'm like, how do you like it, man? He goes, oh, it's great. There's nothing for like tag teams. We call them duos just so it doesn't get the whole Total Wrestling moniker to it.
Right,
But
of course. Yep.
we just kind of try to be different about it. And he's like, this is what I do. I use an 8-sided dice, and then we play the game normally. Then 7 and 8 is tag or tag finisher, and I adopted those into official rules that came out with our international incident set. Which before we got the Rock and Roll Express, I created characters that were tributes to them called Ricky Riot and Robbie Rocket, and they were the Rocket Riot Express, and they're kind of like the first and they were kind of like the first official duo that came out in that edition, and then the dual rules came with it and stuff. So that's one of the things. And the bunkhouse, we do a monthly subscription called Fight Pass, so there's unique cards every month that are mailed out to subscribers. It's the only way you can get the cards. And it's like last year where we did it was 2017, so those cards are no longer available. Makes them kind of exclusive and collectible that way. You can't get them anywhere else now. And that's the same way with this. And right now we have this February, we just released cards for it's called a Bunkhouse Stampede. It's basically like a battle royal or whatever you want, and it's kind of and I got that from a guy that plays as well. We played it at our convention that we have every year in July in Iowa. We get together and play the games and stuff. And he's like, this is how I do it, and it's really simple. And then he laid it out how he did it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like no work to that at all. So then I made a card of it and gave it out in the Fight Pass for this last month. So I do listen to people and their ideas and stuff like that. In the game, I've given tribute to people as well. I have a guy that's one of my biggest followers and fans. He supported the game a lot. Everybody has. He has as well. And I had an idea for a Guile-like character from Street Fighter, and his screen name is Crimson Cross. I kind of wanted to give us a nod to him for being so good. And then I created the character Crimson Cross, and he kind of looked like Guile and stuff like that from Street Fighter with the flak jacket and stuff. So, and then my daughters are in the game, the Glitter Edition. They're Space Girl Paige and Chloe Cosmos. They're patterned after my daughters. My oldest daughter, Paige, that we created it with, and then Chloe is now 7, which is unique because that's when Paige first started the game with me, and she's she's learning to play it. Yep, and my son is named Riker. She plays some. Yep, she's kind of to where she can read on her own now, and the game has helped her even read and sound out and pronounce stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of giving her that. And then my son is 3, and his name's Riker. In IFC 2, when we came out with that, I came out with a little Brock Lesnar looking character, and his name is Rikzilla, which is my son's nickname. So I've paid tribute to all of them in the game. And then other people have as well when they've done the creative characters. They've given their kids or somebody a little nod in the game and stuff like that.
Eric,
I've had old friends from... What's that?
What about the artwork? I'm noticing the artwork on the cards. It looks similar to a mobile game that I've played called 80s Mania Wrestling. Do you know what
That's
the art
okay.
is?
That you're hitting home with that a little bit. Yeah. 80 is kind of a little backstory for that. Okay, 80s Mania Wrestling is created by a guy named Chris Osk, and Chris Osk is tied into Phil Singer games that I play. He was a fan and kind of came in as a collaborator and whatnot. And then he has created that mobile app that you have, and the art is by Warner. His name is Warner Meek, and his Twitter handle is at Sir SIRBRAK Sir Brack, and he has done some of that for that, and then he does my artwork as well. What it deals with is everywhere in this game, and then like Phil Singer games when we were playing it, people were never they were happy with what they got, but they always wanted another character to fill that void, or people get creative and have their own ideas for stuff. Well, he kind of came along, and somebody had found him, and he was basically kind of like what we call bootlegs. So we had the official stuff, but we wanted, yes, somebody like Brian Danielson or AJ Styles knockoff, call him something else, or anything you wanted. He kind of basically drew it for you, and then people made it into cards and what they call bootlegs, which basically was anything that wasn't official.
Gotcha.
And I've known him for a long time through that. And then when we decided to do this, I approached him, and he was like, "Yeah, cool." I was like, "I'm not turning down money."
Nice.
And he had a great style, and I've never even thought about going anywhere else, just because everywhere I go, we've taken the game to little conventions around here and stuff, and people, that's one of the first things people see is like, "Your art's amazing." He goes, and I've been really spoiled with him, and I can't go anywhere else that I know of right now. I wouldn't, unless he says, "Hey, I'm not doing this anymore," then I have to find somebody else.
Oh, I just kind of recognized the style. There's like these look, like similar drawn to how those were. So
Yep. And then I noticed your guys' logo was done by John David Guerra, and
Yep.
I met him through the WNS podcast, which is out of Texas, and he was on there, and they talked about the night, because I used to make title belts, custom made title belts. I don't anymore because of time and everything else, but they had me on as a guest because I made belts for them, and then I went to and then they had him on with stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So I checked him out, and then I'm like, "Hey, can I make a belt for you? And we can, I'll get some of your comics and stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then I loved Grimm from the comics. I don't know if you guys have his comics or not.
Yeah. Actually, I've got one. Actually, no. I do have some, but they're upstairs. But I've got the money. I got the money.
But
those are cool.
yeah, I have some of his artwork too. He did Grimm as a character in there. Well, then I asked, and he backed our Kickstarter for Glitter, I believe. And I asked him, I'm like, "Do you care if I use Grimm in a way?" So I did, and he's like, "Yeah, sure." So in our IFC2 edition, with the storyline there, Grimm is one of the characters in there. He's not quite the same looking, because when like Warner, the guy that I use, draws, he likes to make it his own. He doesn't like to copy people's stuff, even though I said, "Hey, I got permission." So he made it a little different,
cool,
which
man.
is cool. But it's still Grimm, and it's based off of that and stuff like that. So
yeah, I love that too.
I got a little bit
all
of
your characters have like
things.
backstories. Like all your characters. Like
Yep.
I've read like some of the you sent me some of the PDFs too, like on
Mhm.
on the glitter stuff, and like it's just really fun. Like the character stuff is what I kind of enjoy the most out of it. Is just reading all the backstories on people. So that's cool. That you were able to borrow Grimm.
Because I hated school growing up. and like my imagination was my biggest thing. I had imagination, and wrestling was about all I even cared about. And I just enjoyed stuff like that with stories, and like every character, every edition is that we put out is not really tied together. I mean, but they're all in the same place, but I try to just keep everything simple and give everybody a little bit of a story, because more often than not, people will just take their character and run with it a different way. Nobody has the same character the same way usually. So I just kind of give them a little bit, and then people go from there, which is really cool.
Nice. Speaking of characters, do you have any favorite characters that you guys have made that kind of stick out? I mean, besides your family, your son and daughters that you put in the game. Anything else?
I'm a big Chris Jericho mark. He's probably one of my top three. Another one being Brian Pillman, and he is I did, and of course he's you guys probably know, he was big in Mexico and Japan, and he was called it's Lionheart, Corazon de Leon, or whatever it is.
Yep.
That's what it amounts to. Being a big, Y2J fan, I loved him in WCW, and then loved him even more when he came to WWE as Y2J. And so he's always been my favorite character. And I created an IFC. See, he's an IFC 2 as well, I believe. I'm probably wrong on that. I can't think. His name is Lionheart in there, and it's basically Jericho with his crucifix pose, and he's looking back at you, and he's kind of got like a lion face. So he's lion, and his name is Lionheart in our game. So
cool.
that's probably one of my really all-time favorite ones. And then I like throwback stuff, old school, like the Vaudevillains. I was really sad when they broke up.
Yes.
And I was I was more sad that Simon Grimm got the boot and not Adrian, just because of the mustache. But
right.
I did a guy in February of last year for our Fight Pass. I did a guy. His name was Knuckles Sandvich, and he was he was kind of like he's up by your area. He used to be up from your guys' area, and he was it John Sullivan? He was the bare knuckle boxer. You guys know about? I've heard the legend of him back in the 1800s.
He ended up getting drunk and like walking off a pier or something.
Oof.
Oh, that's bad. But he was he was the inspiration for Knuckles. Him and Simon Gotch were, and so I made that, and I'm like, and Sandvich was his last name, so I'm like, all right, Knuckles Sandvich it is. Then he was just kind of, he didn't have a lot of color to him, and then I just did like a black and white overlay for him, and he was kind of like the old school black and white vaudevillain looking, kind of the cover. He's black and white, and it just, for some reason, that's just one of my favorites.
Nice.
Those two right now off the top of my head are really two of my favorite ones. But
Nice.
as a dad, I can't really, even a father of like the IFC, I can't really pick and choose between my children.
Right. Yeah, no, I've got a couple. Like my kid really likes Croak. He's
people are liking him.
Yeah. I like, I just like the references. I like picking up on them where I go like, oh, this is like clearly, obviously like a Roddy Piper influence here, or whatever.
Yep.
And then
I like TKO.
Harmon loves TKO. Harmon is a huge Kevin Owens mark, so that one stuck out immediately.
I just want
TKO is pissed about everything.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. TKO beat Great Scott tonight. I was going to put Thunder Gold against him, but Thunder Gold has like a ridiculous amount of the
power plays.
Power plays. So he's like unstoppable.
He's kind of built that way, as you can tell the Hogan reference with it, and it's,
like Hogan.
It kind of reflects on them. It kind of reflects on a lot of the characters. A lot of those, we started out with generic stats, and then like the first set you have is Rabid. He was the only one that had like 2 finishers,
Yeah.
And then our Fight Pass last year kind of experimented with different mechanics and stuff like that. And then that's kind of where like a bigger wrestler like Thunder Gold or like you would have had Ricky Stallion. He's kind of got the even odd, or he's kind of got the odd finisher number, so he's kind of more. It reflects more of like the Flair Hogan, the bigger name. It kind of and then the tribute card kind of gets the same kind of power. Hopefully it comes across that way.
Yeah, very cool. Anything else, Eric, you want us to know about Go.Fight.Pow or Champions
Did
of
you want
Town?
to know this? Did you want to know like the gist of the story? I guess people have it's on the Kickstarter as well, but it's kind of whatever you guys would like to know more of.
Hit me with it. Hit me with it, brother. Let's do it.
So it's not 100% fleshed out, but basically through our other sets, Powermonger is kind of of course, Powermonger, he's wanting to take over the Intergalactic Fight Club.
He's got subtle references to the
There was a
Million Dollar
big
Man.
the IFC was gifted the Intergalactic Championship that has these time gems in it from Infinitus, who from the previous stories, he's kind of like Galactus in the comics, where he's the Eater of Worlds. Well, he came upon where the IFC was, kind of basically gave them a pardon, and eventually he wrestled, moved along. There's a lot to the stories there where I'm not gonna want to give it out, but he's moving on, and he left these time gems which were merged with the ship. Powermonger fell in control of it. A lot of it has to deal with time, trying to restore time and fight for everything. There's gonna be some really cool mechanics that deal with the time and stuff. But so if people are excited about it and want to check it out on Kickstarter right now, we're going until 30 days. We got 30 days left, so there's plenty of time to do stuff. If they want something before that, they could always go to Go.Fight.Pow.com and get a regular set and check it out as well.
Very cool.
We're on
Cool, man.
Twitter at Go.Fight.Pow, Facebook.com, Go.Fight.Pow, the message board, Go.Fight.Pow.freeforums.net.
Nice. We mentioned that we like to do Fantasy Fun Week here on the show, and like I said numerous times here, one of my favorite parts of your game is just the characters, and I wanted to kind of chat about maybe what our favorite real life kind of gimmicky characters are.
Oh yeah, I love.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are up for that or not, but I would love to do so.
Sure. Well, like our favorite.
You help me out, I'll help you out.
Yeah, sounds good.
One of my favorites growing up was like the bad guy, like the tough, like biker guy was Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, nice.
With the flames and
the
tattoo on his head.
Yeah, Bam Bam. Yeah, a lot of mine are like that era because I think we're all like 80s kids. So like, but unlike you, Eric, we kind of were like way more into WWE than like NWA stuff, just because like that's just what we were into. We like it was on around here a lot. So, like 80s and like early 90s was like definitely like my bread and butter. So like a lot of my favorite gimmicky characters are from that era. Bam Bam though.
Bam Bam, and then the reverse side of that coin, I like Big Boss Man. Because he was
Big Boss Man, nice.
I don't know. He had the nightstick.
Bam Bam goes way back. Bam Bam goes way back to like World Class Championship Wrestling, where he was like Crusher Yurkoff or something. Way back in the day, like before I think he still had the tattoos, but he was like a major badass back then, and I'm not sure if he was with Oliver Humperdinck or not, but
oh wow, good name drop.
Crazy.
That guy in a while. Eric, who do you have?
I like the WWE ones, but then the one that really hooked me and he didn't really work out was in WCW. His name was the Juicer. He was really cool. He was kind of like a Beetlejuice character, and it was Art Barr. and he just kind
I don't remember
of,
this at
I don't know,
all.
he was just really cool.
Yeah,
Well, you have to look that up. His name is the Juicer. He kind of came out with like a jean jacket and a bandana on, do-rag, and like he had like a ton of baby powder on him. So like when he got hit, he like pretty much poofed, and it was really cool. And it was like it was really, and he was kind of looked like Beetlejuice as well. It was kind of a knockoff of that.
Oh, that's funny.
I think Sheamus
he
should
was
steal that gimmick right now. Just baby powder up before matches. Every time he gets hit.
And then like some of the other gimmicks were like in from WCW2, because that's what I like grew up on, was like Yellow Dog. It was basically Brian Pillman lost some sort of loser leaves match, and it was one of those deals where you knew it was him or you weren't sure, because growing up you weren't quite sure back then yet. And then it was the whole mystery of unmasking him, and oh, it's Tom Zink. It's not him. What?
Nice. I'm looking up the juicer right now. It's the juicer. This looks amazing. Wow. This doesn't even like ring a bell. Usually I'm like, oh, okay, I remember that. I have some kind of like nugget in my brain from like my.
I think maybe it was just so bad it sticks out in my mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
He didn't last very long. And then even going back, because I'm 40, so NWA had Lasertron. It was Hector Guerrero, and I always loved him. He was like a robotic guy, supposedly from like 2000, because they had a tag team called the New Breed that was chasing after him and stuff. And that was really crazy. But as far as newer, more 2000 stuff, back in WWE, like everybody had the part-time job gimmick and stuff. I liked like Duke the Dumpster Drosy stuff was cool.
Yeah, they like Duke the Dumpster Drosy, like the Repo Man. It was like everybody had a job. It was like a profession.
Yes.
One that I loved as a kid, and looking back, I'm like, this was terrible, but like he stuck around forever, just because he was just always there, and he was like Hogan's right hand man. But Brutus the Barber Beefcake,
Garbage, absolute garbage.
But like I never really understood.
Junk.
Yeah, I know. Like I was like, oh, this guy's cool, right? But then as an adult, I'm like, not at all. But like,
I thought he was cool as a kid too.
yeah, like his pants, had like the cutout fishnets and like the big ears.
That big spiky mullet.
Yeah, like I guess I don't understand like what, because I mean I get it, the barber, but like those shears were ridiculous.
Why hedge clippers?
Yeah, and then like like he just looked like a Chippendales dancer too, like in the bow tie. Like it was just a mix of like so many different things going on. But as a kid,
I liked him as the barber. But then when he left to go to like the Hogan's buddies, like a WCW where he was everything, that was where it got garbage and junk. But I liked him as the barber.
Right? Was that what he was in WCW?
Yeah, he was like 2 or 3 different things, I think.
Yeah.
Another one I thought was the model Rick Martel with the sprayer.
I loved the model.
He was great.
Mm-hmm. I like that. One that this was very, very short lived, but I remember it because it was like right around like a very iconic debut. It was when like the Undertaker debuted, but the one I remember a lot from that Survivor Series is when Terry Taylor did the Red Rooster. Do you guys remember this?
I remember
that.
It was so bad, but as a kid, I didn't know. As a kid, I didn't know like who Terry Taylor was, just because I was like, I don't know, 9 when that came out, or I don't know, whenever that came out.
Because Terry Taylor was like, that was a low point for me, because he wrestled in what they called the UWF, where Dr. Dusty Williams came from, and it was kind of like an NWA. They were like affiliated with them. Good gimmick that he did have in WCW that I liked, that everybody thought was garbage, was the York Foundation. Ricky Morton was Richard Morton. Tommy Rich, Thomas Rich. Terry Taylor was Terrence Taylor. Then there was like maybe another, just basically like a corporate thing. She had this computer that supposedly could beat according to calculations, and they ended up losing most of the time.
That's funny.
I enjoyed that when people thought it was like crap. I'm like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I dig that.
They're using technology.
Yeah. It's kind of like it reminds me of like what Right to Censor did, like when they brought in like guys that were like totally like reformed, like the Godfather was the good father, and like Val Venus was
Yeah.
something. I can't remember what Val Venus ended up being, but he, they had like a change of a name there. But yeah, that's funny. Wrestling's just great. Like, right, you can do anything, and I think like there's so many like very obvious ones like that stuck out to me as a kid. Like obviously, like Doink was like a super like over the top gimmicky character that kind of lasted like forever. Like remember there was like multiple Doinks and then there was Dink, and that was one of that like held
There's
on.
like a whole independent wrestling show
with just Doink.
Just Doink.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that was like those were kind of like my favorites that I mentioned that kind of like stood out. Other than that, like it's kind of hard to like decide like what or kind of define like gimmicky wrestling when I guess that's kind of all gimmicky wrestling. I mean, everybody's a character, but like even I was thinking about this. I was thinking about like Undertaker too. I mean, he kind of falls in line with like they brought him in.
He was cartoony to begin with.
Yeah, and then it just his legend kind of like overtook that. You know what I mean? Because he's been around forever. But yeah, if you think about it, yeah, he was kind of cartoony at first. I mean, it was a profession. It was, instead of Duke the Dumpster Drosy, he was an Undertaker, and it's like, no way in 15 years did they think that was going to be what it was, They were like, okay, we get like 4 years out of this guy. And then he goes on to have like this 25-year career. So,
but like you mentioned Doink. Well, that was originally Matt Bourne. He was Matt Bourne originally on Doink. And then Matt Bourne goes back to World Class. He tagged with Buzz Sawyer back in that day. And then Matt Bourne in WCW became Big Josh. He was like a lumberjack.
Yeah.
Buzz Sawyer, best friends of Glacier.
You kind of start naming people, and then it's like it just triggers me back to the history lesson of who these people are.
Right,
but even though Undertaker, he even kind of goes back to World Class as well with even Percy Pringle though too. I think he was in World Class as something.
Yeah, he was a blonde.
Yeah. And then like even like a little bit later too, as a kid I noticed it, like when Repo Man came out, I was like, whoa, isn't that, hey, wait a minute, isn't that Smash? Like, what's happening here? As a young lad, I recognized that right away. So, but
yeah, there's some of them. It's like you watch one channel and then you watch the other one, and all of a sudden the other guy shows up, and it's like, hey, what's he? That's whoever. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's that guy. It's funny. Oh man.
But yeah,
Eric,
that was great.
Congratulations on already meeting your goal. I hope you get to let's say 5,000 by the end of the month.
Whoa!
Oh my God, that would be amazing. I don't know what I already don't know what to do now. It's just like our first two campaigns, we never raised over 2,000, and I know when you look at a lot of games on Kickstarter, they're huge into, the tens of thousands, and this just being, 2,000 in that aspect doesn't seem like a lot, but it does for a little game that doesn't cost very much. Like one of our normal packs is only like $10. So you figure 2,000, that's a lot that we can do with things. And like I said, I'm putting everything back into it with characters, and it's just making the game better, and that's all I want to do. And I want everybody to experience and have it. I'd rather have people have the game than make money, if that makes sense. I want to make money, but at the same time, it's like I would rather be like, oh, this guy be like, oh, I can't afford it, and then I'll be like, here, man, here, here it is. Just to have it, because like at a convention, if I may tell a little bit, just a quick story. There was a girl. Her family, you could tell, and you kind of tell that she's like, oh, we don't have any money, honey. We don't have much to get anything. And she's like, and she wanted the glitter set. She was about 8 or 9 years old, and this was just last year. And I'm like, is there anything I can do for you? And then she's like, no, we're not taking anything. We don't want a handout or nothing. I'm like, I know, but I'd like her to have it. And then she came back later, and she's like, how much is it? And I'm like, it's 15. She goes, will you take 10? And I'm like, I'll take 10. I didn't even want to take the 10. I wanted them to have it, but they wouldn't have it. But that $5 didn't mean anything to me, as long as that girl could have that game. That's what really matters to me more.
Yeah, man. I mean, it shows that you have a soul, and you're not like just doing this for pure profit.
Right, and even like here last toward Christmas, a convenience store here in town. I say town because I live in a town of 750 people. I'm pretty rural in Iowa, but they had a box drive, I guess, they were sponsoring a local soldier that was overseas, and they were just asking for certain things, games and stuff like that. I'm like, ooh, games, huh?
Right, yeah.
I wrote him a letter of who we are and what we do, and I think I put in like 5 games for him.
Nice.
I wanted them to have them just for what they do for us, but it's also like, God, they're over there in hell probably, and they, this is better than just, playing poker or whatever they do with it, just a deck of cards. I mean, this is something really cool that they can try to learn if they want to and do it. So I sent them about 4 or 5 packs, and I'm like, hey, if you got, other platoons or other, I don't know how the army does their stuff, but if you got other divisions and stuff that want something, here, let them have this too, or do what you wish with them. And so I don't know how that went, but I just, like I say, I would rather just do good with it than anything.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's cool to hear. So yeah, man. Again, like Harmon said, congratulations on the Kickstarter. We'll keep it going, and yeah, we'll plug you and see what we can get for you. That'd be fun.
Awesome.
I'm enjoying the game, definitely. Where can people find you on social media if they want to find more information about the game and maybe get some cards?
I'm on Facebook, is facebook.com/Go.Fight.Pow. Twitter at Go.Fight.Pow. Instagram, I don't use much, but it's at Go.Fight.Pow. Go.Fight.Pow.com will lead you to the store. If you get something, or even before that, you want to see what's going on, please go to GoFightPow.freeforums.net. That's where all the mystery and suspense happens with the imaginations and stuff like that. All the creativity lies there. You'll see what other people do. You can interact with everybody there. So that's about it. Pretty much the websites and the message board and everything. And if anybody wants to back the Kickstarter, that would be great. Like I said, any more that we get is just going to go right back into it. More characters, better stuff. It's really helping the dream, and we're already overwhelmed with what we've got. We can't believe that we crushed it in like 5 hours. It took us 2 days for the last one just to get to 40%.
Yeah.
So it's really, like I say, I'm DIY. I hustle on everything. Like I said, I reached out to you guys. I reached out to reviewers. Everything was organic. I don't believe in paying somebody, not that they don't deserve it, but I don't believe in paying them just so they can be like, oh, this is a cool game, whether they think it's not or whether it is. I don't want my money to sway somebody. I wanted somebody's natural opinion.
Of course. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, it sounds like you're heading in the right direction. We wish you luck along the way. And,
if somebody if somebody from the podcast that listens, does decide to back or whatever, hopefully they can shoot us a message and just let us know. They'll be like, hey, I heard you on the podcast, and just to kind of know that they heard it from there. Whether they do or not, it's up to them. But I just like I say, I always kind of like to know where people come from. Sometimes I'll shoot them a message, be like, how did you hear from us? And they'll be like, oh, this or that, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Nice. Yeah. We definitely have some interactive listeners. So if they're into the game, they'll definitely let you know for sure. So.
And Fashion and I are available as a tag team.
Yeah, just throwing that out there. I mean, if you want to put us in the game as a tag team, we're pretty lethal. We're a pretty lethal combo. So just putting it out there.
He's got speed. I got size. It works out.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. I appreciate that.
Only if our finishing move is a rocket launcher.
It's got to be a rocket launcher for sure. Awesome, Eric. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. We will we'll definitely be in touch. So thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Eric.
All right, thank you guys. It means a lot to me. I enjoyed talking about the game, and that's one of my passions, and wrestling too. And I really enjoyed it, and hope you guys keep playing it. Like I said, but yeah, it's a living, breathing animal, and there's more to it. It's more than just kids. People have called it a kids game. It's more than that. Adults play it a lot, 1 or 2 player. Most people play it by themselves, do their own thing. People play against their friends. It's what you make it. You can MMA, UFC, whatever, wrestling, whatever people want. It's all how they design it. So
yeah, well, it's definitely Main Event Podcast approved. So you got that going for you. So awesome.
And
hey, Eric, have a great night,
podcast. Man. And you guys are the official podcast of the IFC. And you guys are the official podcast of the GFP.
Yes, we're there, man. Awesome, Eric. Have a great night, brother. We'll catch you later, man.
As well, thanks, guys. I'll be in touch, and like usual, and I'll talk with you anytime.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eric.
Take care.
Bye.
Keep warm.
We'll try. Harmon. What are we gonna talk about here? We're gonna talk about some plugs real quick.
Plug it away.
Plug it away. I'll plug it away. Let me get my old plug cards. StrongStyleBrand.com/main-event-pod. Enter code main-event-pod for 10% off.
Yes, slung some merch this weekend at What Wrestling. A lot of pins. Sold a lot of pins.
Yeah, the pins look dope. Pins
They're
are cool.
pretty sweet.
Pins are like a thing nowadays, huh?
Yeah.
Pins just everywhere.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of pins.
A lot of pins.
I didn't have any hats or sweatshirts, just t-shirts and pins.
No hats available.
It was out.
Wow, sold out. Look at that.
Out.
Strong Style. Doing well with selling their goods. So if you wanted a hat and you were unable to get one, go to strongstylebrand.com/main-event-pod, main-event-pod at checkout for 10% off. It'll help us too. A little
Is
bit.
there a code at checkout?
There is a code at checkout.
Oh, okay.
Yep. It's called Main Event Pod. Then
Event Pod.
You'll get your 10%. Yeah. And a little bit of that gets kind of thrown back our way. So if you just like this podcast and you want to hook us up with a little kickback, do that. That's a good way to do it. Another good way to do that is to go to our Teespring store, where we have some hoodies and t-shirts and stickers and little kid t-shirts as well. So go there, buy a shirt with our logo on it, and wear it around town. Wear it to your next wrestling show that you go to.
Right. I mean, who else is putting out shirts for your kids? I mean, besides WWE. I mean,
right. But, I mean, there's always that.
Yeah.
If you're into that kind of thing.
But hey, shop local.
Right. Exactly.
shop local on the internet.
Yeah. And then I guess just us, right? Where are you at on the old Twitter?
I'm at Harmon316. Going to be at the next Limitless show. You're going to?
I will be.
You get your tickets yet?
No, but I will.
This is the fastest selling show they've ever had.
Yeah, I'll be there. Don't worry about it.
You don't have a ticket yet.
No, I'll be there.
I will laugh if you have to listen to it outside.
If I have to beg Randy to let me in?
Yeah.
I'll be there. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I could probably sneak you in.
Hey, shh. Promise you I'll be there.
Right.
Anyway, I'm at Johnny Fashion on Twitter. We are on Twitter at Main Event Pod. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Main Event Pod. We got the hotline 929-260-3099. Shoot us a text. Shoot us a voicemail. We got a text from somebody in Japan recently.
Yeah, it said.
Can't read it.
I translated it.
Did you?
Obviously,
because of our last interview with Ronnie Big Bang Nicole, doing a lot of her work out there in Japan.
It was actually when I translated it was Chinese. Yeah.
Oh.
So we're global now.
Ooh.
Yikes. And it said we were going to have a very good day.
Oh.
Sunny good time, I think it's.
Well, all right. We'll take it. We'll take any of that. And then you guys can check us out on Podbean and iTunes, and soon to be many other podcast places, Stitcher, Google Play. Very soon. It's out there. Waiting to hear back on some things, but hopefully we're going to get more out there.
We're on Google.
We're on Google. We're on Google. Guys, we've made Google.
If you have an Android phone or you have Google Music, you can type in Main Event Pod, and we're there.
We're there. We are so there. Boy.
We're right between Living Sexy and
That's not us? What?
The politically incorrect wrestling show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're leaning more towards the living sexy.
We're like, if you see Eric Bischoff's podcast, we're like 2 rows down from there.
That's good. It's a good neighborhood to be in the Eric Bischoff podcast. I like Eric Bischoff. Good for him.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, nice. Gotta mention Follow the Fox, Dylan and Sarah. They're a band based out of Denver, Colorado. They do our intro and outro music. You guys should definitely give them a listen and a follow. You can go to their website, followthefoxband.com. They're also on Facebook and Instagram at followthefoxband. They are the best. Tell them that the Main Event Podcast sent you. Large Marge sent you. No, just... Oh, goodness. That's about it, man. Harmon, thanks for coming up here, man. You're the bomb.
I know. Oh, I mean, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah, man. Listeners at home, thanks for listening. We will catch you guys later.
Boy.